I'm Greg Gutfeld with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Marie Harf, Jesse Waters, and she cliff dives from a teacup. Dana Perino, the 5. It's the news that shocked the political world. Omarosa is out. We now go to the White House staffers for a response. Very emotional, apparently. So what exactly happened last night? Well, we have tape of how it might have unfolded.
Omarosa, you wait outside with Kwame.
Let me ask a question, if I may. Well,
Mr. Trump, I've worked for the last 2 weeks.
Omarosa, I didn't call for you yet.
I've been running around for a week.
We all
I've been running around
have
for a
problems.
week with my...
Life is full of problems. Omarosa has to go. You're fired.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Thank you all.
No, thank you. All right, on to the real news. Doug Jones wins, Roy Moore loses, and Al Franken keeps his pajamas on. There are those on the right who are bummed because a Republican loss makes it harder to fulfill Trump's agenda. To them, I say, relax. The silver lining to this cloud is actually bigger than the damn cloud. First, this is no referendum on Trump. It's a referendum on a state election that made all of us squirm, including you. You can tell by Trump's polite tweet after, he was relieved not to have this albatross across his neck, around his neck. Now the party must get to work and find a real candidate to unseat Jones. But here's the real good news. The only reason we had this election was because Donald Trump won. It's true. Imagine it's October 2016 and a genie offers you this deal. You could win the White House, change the political landscape, dump the Clintons, but you'll lose a Senate seat in a year. Wouldn't you take that deal? Of course you would. Sure, the Republicans blew the primary, which got us this mess, but it could be far worse. You could still have that seat, but under Hillary. As for you, Doug Jones, stop grinning and open your mind. You're already a lame duck. A lefty in Alabama is like a popsicle in a sauna, which is why you nearly lost to the most flawed candidate ever. Your butt saved only by Republican write-ins. So grab lunch with the president. You'll already have something in common with him. Your opponents suck. Yeah. All right, let's get to the big news here. Omarosa, Dana, devastated?
I've only met her once.
Yes.
No, I don't really know her. But I really would like to know the story behind why she left.
I don't know. Jesse, what network is she coming to?
Not this network, I don't think. Probably MSNBC. We are hearing news that she was escorted out of the White House by armed security because she did issue some vulgarities to General Kelly and claimed credit for the Trump election. You can't fire me. I got Trump elected.
Besides, don't you have that honor?
Yes, that's the water's bump.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Marie.
The water's swell. It's still going.
You were White House. Was there any, I mean, there's always somebody nobody liked. I mean, nobody could get along with Omarosa. Because
that was Dana in the book.
Yes. She does a little, but it's like because she came in entitled with a previous relationship. She was like, I'm friends with Trump. I have a hall pass.
Right. Well, and he sort of had a team of misfit toys with him during the campaign because a lot of people didn't think he would win. A lot of Republicans didn't want to be part of his campaign, and she was someone that would work for him when almost no one else would. She got rewarded with a White House job, which a lot of us were sort of concerned about.
Valerie Jarrett was that person in the Obama White House.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because remember she came from Chicago and she was really close. Remember, everybody when they've gotten fights, it was usually having to do something with
person that
Valerie
no
Jarrett.
one liked, not a
Valerie
misfit
Jarrett
toy.
was the president.
Right.
Kimberly, would you like to talk about Omarosa? Would you like to talk about the election?
All of it.
All right.
Okay.
First, I would like your thoughts on Omarosa. Is this a blow to the Trump administration?
No, believe me. This is like, they were like, okay, T-minus how many days for her to go? So this is no surprise. The only shocking thing is that she lasted this long, to be quite honest, because it was like a bone to pick with everybody and infighting and issues from the minute that she was there. She was,
Did she have a big wedding party there?
She brought them unannounced.
To take photos, and there were stories about how she would leave pairs of shoes all over the West Wing. She'd wear them to meetings and then change shoes and leave them there. Like, so bizarre.
Yeah, I think they're very happy about this.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously the bigger story, Dana, there's a lot of finger pointing, but shouldn't the Republicans be incredibly relieved
No,
that
I think that, like, wow, I was like, wow, you're like me. Look on the bright side. Look on the sunny side of things.
Always plug in your book.
That was good. I wasn't plugging my book, but if you would like to, it's called. Great. I thought I'm going to take issue with a little something. I think the write-ins were kind of something, but I think you have to hand it to the Democrats on their grassroots in terms of their turnout.
You're agreeing with Steve Bannon.
Well, that the Democrats had good turnout?
Yeah,
I mean, it's obvious that the Democrats had good turnout.
Yeah,
I mean, if Steve Bannon agrees with me on that, it's like agreeing that the sweater is blue.
Is that really blue? Yeah. I don't know about that. Fake news. All right, Jesse, does this actually make it that much harder to implement Trump's agenda, do you think?
No, because I think they still have the votes for tax cuts. Listen, Democrats did not win. Roy Moore lost. If I were a Democrat, I wouldn't be that excited about barely beating a candidate who is credibly accused of molesting little kids. I don't think that's something we want to hang your hat on. There's no big wave coming out of this. Jones had no mandate either. He's going to be a lame duck in 2 years. He's going to get beaten by a normal Republican. So he might as well caucus with the majority.
Yes.
Listen, this guy... No one even wanted him to win. I don't even think the Republicans cared about the seat. They didn't spend money there. They didn't campaign there. No, everybody pulled their endorsement. So this guy was a fringe candidate. He was a rural guy that was a bomb thrower, and the suburbs didn't turn out for him. And Roy Moore came strong. He came to play. He won black women strong. He won independents. And you got to tip your hat to it. But I don't blame Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell picked the right horse. Luther Strange from the jump, and McConnell has
So did the president.
And so did Donald Trump. And McConnell has been warning about these bomb throwers in the Senate races, like a Sharon Angle, the witch candidate from Delaware, the Todd Aiken rape guy from Missouri. So we could have all seen this coming, and it finally happened. But I think in the long term, it's good for the Republicans.
So, Kimberly, Trump picked the right horse, and Moore has to leave on a horse. Ooh. Let's roll some tape of Donald Trump, and I would love to have you comment on this. Would you?
Of course.
All right.
I think it's very important for the country to get a vote next week, not because we lost a seat. Wish we would have gotten a seat. A lot of Republicans feel differently. They're very happy with the way it turned out. But I would have, as the leader of the party, I would have liked to have had the seat. I will tell you that to me, it's very, very important to get this vote. Not because of that, but because of and I don't know what the vote will be. I don't know what exactly the final. We have a margin now of 2, plus our great vice president. So I really, I think we're going to get the vote.
So, Kimberly, I get from this that it's about seats and not about people.
Sure.
But even I could tell that he wasn't that broken up about it.
Well, no, but he's a businessman. You got to move forward. He's like, okay, this was a bad deal. It didn't work out. But he's probably thinking, okay, I picked the right guy to begin with. We wouldn't be having this conversation if they had backed Luther Strange to begin with. But they, the fringe candidate pushed forward and was able to garner the votes. And then, unfortunately, wasn't able to get it over the finish line for those that supported him. It was pretty shocking, the fact that the race was as close as it was, given all the news, and people were calling for him to drop out, and he was down by how many percentage, poll points, et cetera, et cetera. So I think what the president is focusing on right now is a good messaging there, which was like, all right, let's unite the party. Obviously, it would have been great if we had it. A lot of Republicans feel differently, but I'm all focused about the American people and getting tax reform put through. So he's done. That's in the rearview mirror.
What do you think about Jones? Is he going to remain as liberal as he's perceived to be, or is he, because he's, like I said, a popsicle in a sauna? He's not going to last long in Alabama if he's going to have to move. Right?
I think he'll caucus with the Democrats. I think the Democratic Party feels very good after last night. My dad warned me not to gloat too much today, so I'm trying.
We'll throw you out of here, Maria.
I know. No, but look,
that's what we do.
I think you're overlooking a real political reckoning that's happening in the Republican Party going into 2018. Midterms are historically bad for incumbents, and Donald Trump and the RNC went in behind this candidate. And,
At the last minute.
and moderate Republicans crossed over in pretty big numbers. They didn't just write in Nick Saban. Some of them did, but some of them crossed over and voted for Democrat. White women, young voters. If the Republican Party doesn't take this result seriously going into 2018, I think they will have some problems.
Well, what is Marie basically saying? Don't listen to Bannon.
Yes, I am.
He doesn't even share all the blame because he got in only after Moore was up by double digits in the primary, but he does share some blame. But listen, this guy's national PR spokesman had a brain freeze on television yesterday for about 45 seconds. He said gays should be in jail. He said Muslims can't serve in the United States Congress. And he was drenched in scandal. This is not a normal Republican candidate.
But the
fact that you beat him
supported him
by a hair, I don't think speaks well to the Democratic Party, actually.
But the RNC chose to back him after these allegations came out. They need to decide in 2018 if they're going to support candidates like Roy Moore or if they're going to support more establishment candidates that aren't flamethrowers.
I think it's pretty clear they're going to support non-Roy Moore candidates going forward.
I also think that there's a phenomenon that's interesting, and it happened during the Obama years too, in that when Obama was running for election, he won, and he was fine, and he could help bring people along. If he's not on the ballot, then it's not so good for that party, for the Democrats. And now I think this is happening with President Trump. So he wins, and he has the majorities, but then if you look at the special elections that have happened since, if he's not at the top of the ticket, even if he's campaigning, even if he's supportive and tweeting about you, it's not working. And the generic ballot for the congressional races in the midterms are not good for Republicans right now. There's a 15-point gap in the Monmouth poll today. So you can make up a little bit of that with the tax reform bill if the economy continues to improve. But I think Marie is right that there is something different happening this time.
Some work to do.
Some work to do, definitely. Should Moore pursue legally what happened to him politically? If he believes that he was innocent, should he try to go out and prove his... Should he be like OJ? Find the real killer.
Interesting comparison.
Yes. It was the only one that came to mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if it's important to him, he should try to clear his name. I don't know where he goes, from here, to be quite honest. But, but again, I can't believe, he did as well as he did in the polls. And obviously, the Democrats, what we talked about yesterday on the show, was going to be about turnout and getting out the vote. And the Democrats have always been quite skilled at doing that, whether it's presidential elections or local congressional races.
They got so lucky with this candidate.
They did.
They really did.
Of course they did.
They had a 5-to-1 advantage in terms of registered Republicans over Democrats.
Yeah.
So even I think that it is pretty remarkable that he won. And I think that the NAACP does deserve some credit there for their grassroots organization in Alabama was amazing.
Definitely.
Well, on that note, 2 FBI officials on Mueller's Russian investigation exchanged anti-Trump texts. We now have those messages. No, you haven't seen them. We have them. Exclusive. Next.
Like a hard to get started when I'm driving, turning every head.
The man who appointed Robert Mueller as special counsel appeared on Capitol Hill today to address concerns from lawmakers about anti-Trump bias affecting the Russia probe. Congressman Trey Gowdy was fired up while questioning Rod Rosenstein earlier.
What in the hell is going on with the Department of Justice and the FBI? This agent in the middle of almost everything related to Secretary Clinton and President Trump sent pro-Clinton texts, anti-Trump texts to his paramour. Then he went on, if that weren't enough, to belittle Trump supporters by saying he could smell them at a Walmart in Virginia. This is who we were told we needed to have an objective, impartial, fair, conflict of interest-free investigation. What happens when people who are supposed to cure the conflict of interest have even greater conflicts of interest than those they replace?
Robert Mueller and Rod Rosenstein and Chris Wray are accountable, and that we will ensure that no bias is reflected in any of the actions taken by the special counsel or in any matter within the jurisdiction of the Department of Justice.
Rosenstein's testimony came hours after Fox News obtained text messages between 2 of Mueller's former investigators, messages disparaging the president. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge has more, as she has all day. Catherine, what do you have?
Well, Dana, so the Deputy Attorney General was up here on Capitol Hill defending the special counsel Robert Mueller and the integrity of the Russia probe, but it was really a series of texts that garnered all the attention. Let's take a look at the first one. It's from August of 2016. This is a text message from FBI agent Peter Strzok to the FBI lawyer Lisa Page, and he writes to her, "You laid out a path in Andy's office that he couldn't get elected." Now, Andy's important. We believe that's the Deputy FBI Director, Andrew McCabe. Remember, he's at the center of the Inspector General's investigation. His wife took over $700,000 in political donations from Democrats for a 2015 state Senate race. And Agent Strzok continues, "We can't take that risk. It's kind of like an insurance policy." And what we understand here at Fox is that this particular text is the focus of congressional investigators and other government officials because it speaks to the possibility of a conspiracy or some sort of level of coordination. Now, if you go to the next one, which you mentioned leading into me, it's also August of 2016, and you can see Agent Strzok talking about going down to this Walmart in Virginia, and he says in caps, "I could smell the Trump supporters," so he is really diminishing these people. And then the FBI lawyer responds that she's having lunch with a friend, and we hate everyone, we hate everything, she writes. So this is at a peak period of the campaign. It's also shortly after the Clinton email investigation was closed for the first time by the FBI, and they have just opened the FBI's Russia counterintelligence investigation. But even if you go back a few months, we'll take a look at this final text. This is from the spring. You can see there does seem to be this real anti-Trump sentiment that is expressed by the FBI agent, calling him an idiot, and then using the F-bomb to talk about candidate Trump. Final point, if I could. This agent, Peter Strzok, and blocking espionage directed at the United States. And one of my contacts said to me today, it was really in some ways unbelievable that he would have such bad tradecraft and he would be so sloppy to send these types of sentiments on thousands of text messages to someone that he worked with. This was alone surprising in itself, Dana.
All right, Catherine, thank you so much for all your help today, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Okay, so one of the things Congressman Nadler said today at the hearing, Kimberly, he's a Democrat, he said this is no big deal because they were just expressing what a majority of Americans were thinking at the time, so it's not a big deal. But, okay, if that were, this is on government-issued technology, devices. So like their government-issued phones, so that's how we know about these things. And they're also involved in these investigations, so inappropriate.
Yeah, well, as Catherine made the point, he was very senior at the FBI, and in terms of counterintelligence, it's really quite shocking and surprising that he would be so sloppy and conduct these kind of conversations and show such blatant bias against the president when he's supposed to be involved in an investigation. I think it goes to the core of the credibility and the integrity of the investigation, that this is someone that you had that was just blatantly just basically bleeding out vitriol about the president and about people involved with him. And how is it in any way proper for him to be involved in an investigation like that?
So then when Mueller, eventually Mueller comes on, he finds out about this through the Inspector General and he fires the guy. But Greg, you have a theory. I'm dying to hear it.
Well, number one, these are fun to read. They really are, but we have to admit that so are our texts about our co-workers and people that, I mean, like, is this the next thing? Or like, granted, I don't work for the government, but it does feel, I always feel creepy because when you're talking to somebody like this, you can swear and you can talk bad about whoever you want because you have to have that ability. But I do believe the bad tradecraft comes from having an affair. That always amps up the intensity, the bravado of the language. The way, I'm the only one who can stop Trump. I'll do it. Oh, please. It was like he was the hero.
Oh, Peter.
Oh, Peter, talk more. It was just so, it's sort of that initial foolish euphoria of an affair. But still, it does taint the objectivity because it was so intense. But having said that, we all kind of do this stuff when we're texting. I will say this, Trey Gowdy, that's his best look yet. He's like half vampire, half Huey Lewis. And he's got the glasses and the loose tie. I just think he looks fantastic.
And he used the word paramour.
I think he's a star.
You were fired up about it. We've got your emails about it.
Let's ask the intel expert. I mean, is it one of the reasons that when you're getting a clearance, a security clearance, the I think the first, second, fourth, and eighth question is all about infidelity.
Well, it's all about whether you can be blackmailed, right? If you have outstanding debts, if you have a lot of foreign contacts that you're not admitting to. So,
and if you're having an affair.
Right. So this was clearly stupid. It was stupid. I think we can all agree on that. But I don't like the insinuation that some of the Republicans brought up today in that hearing, that everyone who works on this investigation is somehow biased. That, you know, Rod Rosenstein made clear his agents can have personal political opinions. The IG is looking into whether that impacted their work, but there's no evidence that it impacted their work yet. So let's let the IG dig into that. Let's give the rest of these patriotic FBI agents who do their jobs, the Republicans and Democrats, the respect of doing their job.
That's a very fair statement. We've talked about that on the show, that, you know, there's so many incredible men and women that are very dedicated agents that do their job, take it very seriously, and haven't engaged in any kind of impropriety like this. But that's why you've got to root out, you know, the bad ones. By the way, Dana, Martha McCallum is going to have Trey Gowdy on tonight.
All right.
Oh, I hope he was that
we have to
time.
give Jesse the last word. We can't tease yet.
Okay, so surprisingly, I think it's a little more damning than you. I feel like it's smoking gun evidence that both investigations into Trump and Hillary were corrupted. If you have the lead FBI investigator saying Hillary's great and praising her and I can't wait till she wins while investigating Hillary, that's not good. And then so they close the book on that deal after exonerating her and giving her a softball interview, open up an investigation into Trump, and then what do they say about Trump? He's an idiot. F Trump. Come on, it's just like Joy Behar's leading the investigation into Donald Trump. So the worst part, and I don't know if we got to this guy is saying it's his job to protect the country from that menace.
Most important thing.
Yeah, we can't take the risk if Trump wins. We have to have an insurance policy. And this is the guy, he's the lead contact for the fake dossier.
Going on
Wait a second. To me, it sounds like this guy believes he, as a counter-espionage official, feels like it's his duty to derail a duly elected president of the United States for partisan political purposes. That is a massive scandal. And then Mueller showed poor judgment of picking him for the team and then stacked the rest of the team, Clinton donors and other Trump haters. So I think the entire investigation's tainted. And now we know that there's bias and we know there's motive.
Okay.
No, but I think that one point is like the most important point.
Motive.
He's suggesting that he would be doing something
like
under the.
What is that thing? And we don't know that. We'll let the IG look into it.
There's no evidence.
No, the IG is going to look at it.
I just thought you said we know.
No, it says he is preparing to do something to save the country from Trump.
His conspiracy
and he has an
theory is well
insurance
fleshed out.
policy.
Yeah, it'd be well
The conspiracy theory is written by your guy. So.
All right, we're going to move on. President Trump always says the media is grossly biased against him. Is he right? You're going to see next.
I'll find the money. You be the pretty and I'll be the funny. You plant the flowers, I'll plant the kisses. Baby, let's get right down to business.
It's no newsflash that the media has it out for President Trump. There are some new eye-opening statistics to support that. The Media Research Center has been closely monitoring coverage on the evening newscast on ABC, CBS, and NBC. The reporting on the president has been 91% negative over the past 3 months. Here's Mr. Trump's response to that. Wow. More than 90% of fake news media coverage of me is negative, with numerous forced retractions of untrue stories. Hence, my use of social media, the only way to get the truth out. Much of mainstream media has become a joke, Jesse.
Yeah, the joke's on them.
At Fox and Friends. You didn't plug the show.
Doesn't he do that for every tweet?
Yes, I think so. It's automatic.
It's automatic now. The media has been very consistent covering the president, consistently biased. The first 100 days, 90% negative. The summer, same study, 90% negative. And now the last 3 months, 90% negative. Now, Juan always says when we do this segment every 3 months that, well, the president's job performance has been rough. You know, we had the travel ban rejected, couldn't repeal Obamacare, we had Charlottesville, all that mess, special counsel. But I think every fair-minded person can agree within the last 3 months, the president has performed much better. Kelly has straightened out the White House personnel. Great recovery efforts with the hurricane. The Asia swing was a very good success. And the stock market and the GDP have been astonishing. And no collusion proven yet anyway. So why is it still 90% negative? I think it's pretty obvious. They hate him.
Okay, so Marie, what do we say? How can you defend the mainstream media?
Well, I think that the media has done some things wrong in the last year, and they've also done some things right.
Okay.
They've broken big stories. They've provided information to the American public. This just focused on the evening newscasts on those 3 networks. So it didn't look at everything, didn't look at newspapers, I don't think. And
That would make it 95%.
And I also say it's sort of like the chicken and the egg. You know, President Trump has called the media the enemy of the American people. On the campaign trail, he routinely went after reporters when they ran stories he didn't like. So he has not ever, expressed anything but disdain for them. And so it's not surprising that some of this would end up being negative. I've also said they need to do even better because of that. They're under such scrutiny. These corrections, these wrong stories, they hurt all journalists, and I think that's a problem.
All right, Dana, so these numbers, I guess, pretty much they're consistent with what we've seen in the past.
Yeah,
Although
I don't
Jesse
expect
thinks it's low.
I don't expect it's going to change necessarily because I think it's working for those networks, right? And everybody in media, everyone's seeing subscriptions are up, ratings are up, people are engaged, people are watching, social media engagement is up, and that's true for the networks. And also, I think this type of thing works in the president's favor. He has a rock solid base of support. They love to hear about this. They all believe it. They think that the media is terrible. And so he repeats it in a way to actually bolster his base.
All right. So, Greg, what can you do to fix all of this?
Well, what's the narrative we keep hearing that journalism and media is under threat? Even President Obama compared the Trump administration to Hitler because, nobody was standing up. The media has never been more invigorated under Donald Trump. He has made media great again because he's woken them up from their Obama coma from 8 years where they did nothing. They couldn't do anything. They weren't doing any investigative journalism because they didn't want to hurt their leader. But now what's happening is Trump has made the media better. I said this a couple days ago because every mistake they make validates his opinion that it's fake news, so they have an extra incentive not to screw up, because if they screw up, Trump looks better. So they are becoming really, really good at their job after basically, hibernating for 8 years.
He also
Trump.
He's also out all the time. Like every day, he's driving the news from early in the morning till late at night, and so there's just more news to cover, and that might actually be fitting into these numbers.
Well, and he also says that he has no choice, that he has to take to social media himself to be able to get the messaging and the truth out. So this study actually supports the idea that he's doing that to try to get his version, I guess, of what's transpiring. Okay, the popular show Homeland is coming back for season 7 with a focus on stopping the president. Is fiction once again trying to mirror reality? Next.
In Malibu, next to you.
Showtime's hit show Homeland has been known to craft storylines that mirror some real-life headlines, and it appears the producers may have taken the same approach for season 7. Here's the new trailer. What do you think?
More than 200 individuals are detained in the investigation surrounding the attack on President Keane 9 days before her inauguration.
Nobody grows up dreaming of taking down criminals inside their own government.
You're going to have to put this behind you, Elizabeth.
Madam President.
Excuse me.
In this room, it's Madam President. How is it they tried to assassinate me and I am the one under investigation?
The country is in free fall, tearing itself apart, and you're acting like it's me off men. I will hunt you down. I will kill you.
Wow, that was a lot. The focus this season, people in the intelligence community trying to stop a tyrannical president.
Ripped from the headlines.
Woo! Okay, Dana, I'm coming to you. We were talking earlier. You and I both used to watch the show and then stopped. I stopped because I think it got very dark and weird, but
I stopped because when they started being sympathetic to terrorists, that was enough for me. I was
like a bridge too far.
Too much. But initially, I really did like the show.
It was good, but this new trailer, I don't know. Greg, what do you think?
Well, my favorite TV show right now is Trump TV. I haven't watched Homeland in 2 years because I don't need the hyper fake reality. I already have it. I mean, the Trump White House is a combination of Homeland, 24, and The Apprentice. Fiction is no match for what's going on in real life. We know that every time we wake up. By the way, to your point, this is the same show that couldn't do ISIS because they felt that the evil wasn't sophisticated enough. It was just too evil, and they need a gray area. But for them, a proxy for Trump is easier to do than a proxy for ISIS because they don't get yelled at by their friends in Hollywood.
So true. Well, and I think they had planned on Hillary Clinton winning. They made this female character president, like everyone else.
Then they had to turn her into a tyrant.
And then they had to turn her into a tyrant.
Turn her into one?
Who always got to bring it back. Hillary Clinton.
And so happy is.
They had to change this season up, I think, at the last minute. Are you going to?
Yeah, well, they don't see gender, do they? They just see Trump. It just doesn't matter, you know? So this is, look, maybe I watch it just to see, although, like Greg says, we already see this playing out every single day, and you just have to look at what's going on right now with these investigations and the text messages and the inherent bias and the corruption, lack of integrity for the investigation, and that people had a specific mission, like moving on target to take down what they perceive to be a tyrannical president. Oh,
well, and I watch TV to escape from the crazy things happening in the country today. If you wrote a script about 2017 before it happened, none of us would believe it, I don't think. So I watch TV like for happier shows.
Like The Bachelor or something.
Yeah,
Like
that's my favorite.
Exactly.
I can only afford basic cable, so I don't get all the premium channels. I'm hearing that Peter Strzok is going to make a guest appearance on one of these rogue CIA agents taking down the president. It's wishful thinking from Hollywood. They want this stuff to happen, so they're trying to write it. And who knows? You know, anything can happen.
We were also talking, we remember Claire Danes from My So-Called Life.
Why did you out me? I told you that in confidence.
That's our generation.
What was your boyfriend, Jared Leto?
Jared Leto.
Yeah. Jared Leto.
She was like the, girl in high school, and now she's trying to kill the president. It's crazy.
Annoying.
It's crazy.
She should play the character from My So-Called Life as a cameo in Homeland. He's got the glassy-eyed, I'm a prophet look, which is nauseating in itself. And enough about Jared Leto.
A self-proclaimed musician.
Exactly. Well, stay tuned. Jesse has some new text from his mom to share with us, and a special guest is in studio. You don't want to go away. Stay tuned.
Time now for a very special edition of Mom Texts. And we have a special visitor in studio today for this installment. My mom.
Hi, Mom.
Ann Waters. Dr. Waters, excuse me. So let's get started. As many of you know, my mom is a liberal Democrat and sends me texts during the show critiquing my performance.
Yes.
Text 1. When you are good, you are so very, very good. And when there is a performance like last night's, I become so distraught that you have moved ever closer to that imaginary line that cannot be crossed. Next one. I have delighted in your more measured and thoughtful language and approach to issues these last months, and I've said that to you. So then I began to wonder, is this Mean Mondays? Because this only happens on Mondays.
So true.
Is she right?
Great. Yes. I am tired of the Fox and Friends fellow. Number 4. Enough. Think about how to make the world a better place. And lastly, all I can say is thank God for Juan Williams. Really, Jesse?
Oh, my
God. So my mom's a celebrity now. She gets into the green room, and everyone's like, I heard she's in the green room. Can I go meet her?
Yeah, she's pretty great.
I know, and most of them are very complimentary of you, Dana. And Gutfeld, when she says your name correctly, she does think you're interesting.
Well, I think what this does is people are surprised that you are actually born. You came from human beings.
Right.
Does this humanize me, Gutfeld?
Barely.
Yes. But yes.
My goodness gracious.
All right. Here's a special one. I think someone is going to like this one. Number 3. As usual, Dana provided wisdom and big think. My mom is your biggest fan.
All right. Thank you, Ann.
You know what that says about you, Dana?
What?
Oh. Yeah, I know. An endorsement from my mom might not go over too well with our audience. How about this one? You might remember this from 2 weeks ago. Number 1. Please apologize to your colleagues, and I mean with genuine remorse, for the horrific judgment you showed in airing your Santa video. Be a great deal more careful, Jesse. Everyone is replaceable except Santa. That's when I showed Santa skydiving.
That was really
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Oh, and he hit the
that
tree.
was so upsetting.
And now he's showing it again.
So I'm very sorry, and I think Kimberly will like this one.
Okay.
Please don't become a talking head that is predictable and thin. Your colleagues roll their eyes and groan aloud with their pregame knowledge of what your position and point is going to be. Do you guys really do that?
Yes.
There are some
I've
faces.
noticed, I've picked up on a few things.
Yes.
That's
There are
what
some
that is?
faces, yes, being made.
You know what?
But our eyes roll with love.
Okay. That's what my mom says. All right, I don't even want to read the last one.
Why?
One more thing is up next.
What does it say?
Break me down and build me up, whatever it takes.